1. Somalia is currently considered the most corrupt state in the world. It is in a state of complete lawlessness, and the state security forces have little power outside the capital, Mogadishu. 2. There are many armed groups with great power and influence in the country, such as the Islamic terrorist group Al-Qaeda, which has control over quite a lot of territory. 3. Somalia is considered the world's center of piracy. And I'm not talking about internet crimes, but classic piracy, maritime piracy. Due to the current situation in the country, enforcement of both local and international laws is practically non-existent. So it has become a haven for all kinds of privateers and criminals, and ship robberies in the vicinity of the coast of this country are far more frequent than anywhere else. 4. This country is a representation of war that you have probably never heard of. There is currently an ongoing civil war in the country, and there have been many civilian casualties and attacks. However, most countries have no economic interests in Somalia, as its resources are minimal. So it is of little interest to the media. At most you will hear about it when there is a major attack, but it will be forgotten the next day. This is a vivid illustration of how solidarity and concern for the defense of human rights are closely related to economic interests. Before I continue, I would like to make a brief digression. Normally, I usually focus on the positive, cultural, or historical part of the places to make these videos, except for small exceptions that usually do not go beyond 1 or 2 data. However, in this case, I thought it was appropriate to mention all these problems as a way of disseminating them, since it is something quite ignored in many media. Now we continue, this time with the usual cultural, geographical, and historical data. 5. As you know, Africa is a continent where cultural and ethnic diversity is immense. However, Somalia is somewhat different, as more than 85% of its population are Somalis. This makes it one of the most ethnically homogeneous nations on the continent. 6. It is the country with the longest coastline in continental Africa. Its beaches are among the most beautiful on the continent, and some are immense and always completely empty. 7. Before the outbreak of the Civil War in 1991, Somalia was a tourist paradise because of its natural attractions, and its capital was full of luxury hotels. 8. Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, was called the Pearl of the Indian Ocean for its mix of Arab and Italian architecture and crystal-clear waters. However, after the war, it became one of the most dangerous cities in the world. 9. Although the high incidence of diseases such as AIDS is unfortunately quite common in Africa, the presence of the HIV virus in Somalia is significantly lower than in the vast majority of countries on the continent. 10. However, despite this, Somalia is one of the countries with the highest fertility rate in the world. On average, each woman has 6 children in Somalia. 11. Somalia is a country of polyglots. Contrary to popular belief, the middle and upper classes in Somalia are generally fluent in several languages. Many of them speak 3 or 4 languages relatively fluently. Somali, Arabic, English, and Italian is the most common combination. 12. It is one of the most Islamic countries in Africa, and Sharia or Islamic law is applied. 13. Somalis love bananas, and it is such an important part of their cuisine that they eat them with every meal. 14. When it is time to eat at home, it is customary for the wife to serve the food to her husband and for him to eat alone. Once he is finished, the wife sits down to eat with the children. However, this is becoming less and less common. 15. As in most Muslim countries, people always opt for halal food, eat food that follows the rules of the religion when slaughtering animals. However, in this country, it is mandatory and all meals are served halal. 16. As in many Arab countries of the Persian Gulf, camels are a major status symbol in Somalia. 17. Today's Somalia is a union of former Italian and British colonies in the Horn of Africa. 18. Today, the former British colony region, called Somaliland, claims its independence and functions virtually as a separate state in all respects. They have their own functioning government, and unlike Somalia, they have stability. However, they lack the international recognition that makes them a full state. 19. While travel to Somalia is strongly discouraged and involves a real and high risk of kidnapping, Somaliland is a relatively safe destination if minimal precautions are taken. It is a different country after all, and you can enter by land without setting foot in Somalia. The people are generally very friendly and welcoming, although the main problem is police corruption. 20. Near Hargeisa, the capital of Somaliland, are the Geel rock formations. They are famous for some of the most incredible rock paintings in West Africa, featuring depictions of humans, giraffes, and other animals. Of course, you'll need to hire an escort by law to gain access. Not because there is any real danger in the region, but because they want to be very careful with the few tourists who go there. 21. Many historians claim that the famous land of Punt, mentioned in some Egyptian hieroglyphs, may have been found in the territory of present-day Somalia, although most of it would be part of Somaliland. In fact, there is now another semi-independent region in the country called Puntland, situated right between Somalia and Somaliland. Although it is nowhere near as free and independent as the latter, nor is there any certainty that it is actually related to historical Puntland. 22. Interestingly enough, the Somali currency, called Somali shilling, has SOS, the International Distress Call, as its abbreviation. 23. More than half of Somalis are self-employed, running their own businesses or living solely off their land. 24. There is a major drug addiction problem, specifically to a substance called cat. It is extremely popular, and the vast majority of local men gather to take it as a group until they get high. 25. Animal and livestock markets are very common in this country, where you can find all sorts of species that are quite rare in the West. And that's all for today's video. I hope you found it interesting, and above all, that you have learned something new about this region. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and above all, leave me your opinions and suggestions in the comments. See you in a future video.